Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Saur Darkchylde, and welcome back to Let's Replay Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Dual Destinies. Last time, we just started this new game and went through the entire tutorial episode of this game. Mainly for the usual court proceedings, and also for Athena's ability. The ability to use psychology in the courtroom and be able to get new testimony by finding discord in people's emotions. At first, the court was not going so well for Athena on her own, but things took a turn for the better when Phoenix Wright came into the courtroom. Now with the courtroom being adjourned, they meet up with Apollo, who Juniper says tried to help her find her missing stuffed animal. Upon going to the blown-up courtroom where Apollo was said to be seen, we find him there, bloodied and unconscious on the floor. And Athena screamed in terror. And that's where we're going to pick up for today's episode. December 18th, 2027, 9:34 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 5. This isn't exactly how I envisioned the second day of this trial to start. But given how things ended yesterday, good morning. The mood sure is tense. Not that that's any surprise. Oh, hey. Did you read the paper this morning, boss? Huh? The paper? That came out of left field. You didn't read it? Then you don't know the big news. Somebody spotted an ambulance, abominable snowman, way up in the mountains. Tell me you know the difference between a paper and a tabloid, Athena. It might show up in the forest where you live, Junie. So you better watch out, okay? You really should read the story for yourself. I couldn't even begin to do it justice. Justice? Huh? Oh, poor Apollo. It's all my fault. Athena! Oh, Junie, what was I thinking? I'm so sorry. What we found yesterday was not Apollo's dead body, thank goodness. He'd been assaulted by someone with a blow to his head, and was lying unconscious. We rushed him to the hospital right away, and it looks like he's going to pull through. But it was still quite the shock to stumble upon a scene like that. Is Miss Woods alright, Athena? Well, I managed to stop her crying. Now she's resting on the sofa over there. I guess she really feels responsible for what happened to Apollo. Poor Junie. She believes that the reason Apollo was attacked is because he was helping her look for something in that courtroom. Oh? I guess I can see why she'd think that. By the way, how are you doing? Who, me? Yeah, you. I know you're concerned about Miss Woods, but are you alright? Me? I'm doing just fine, boss. I mean, yeah, it was a huge shock, but I'm alright. People who studied analytical psychology are great at times like this. After all, they've learned how to control their own emotions too. Somehow I don't think that's as easy as she makes it sound. But there's no denying she's a real trooper. Apollo doesn't remember a thing, does he? Yeah, he can't recall anything from the time right before he was assaulted. Nothing about what he was doing in courtroom 4 or who assaulted him. The doctor said that he's probably due to hit the took on the head. Assaulted in a court of law and losing your memory at that. I know how that feels. But who in the world would do such a thing? Huh, Mr. Wright? Just wait till I get my hands on the coward who hurt our Apollo. Now, Athena. I thought you said you were in control of your emotions. Let's just focus on helping Miss Woods, okay? But I'm just as upset as you. Okay, boss. You're right. Apollo's assailant can wait until after we clear Junie's name. That's the spirit. Now, let's see. I better check the court record one more time before the trial starts. If memory serves, when I have more than 6 pieces of evidence, I should be able to switch pages in the panel. Earth 2, Mr. Wright. Here, I'm ready when you are. Alright, let's get ready to rumble. You bet. With everything that happened with Apollo, I didn't have time to prepare her for a proper investigation. I can't let that stop me, though. I have to get this right, for Miss Wood's sake, and Apollo's too.
Court will now reconvene for the trial of Juniper Woods.
The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is ready, Your Honor.
You know, I believe I instructed the prosecution to further their investigation. Were you able to locate the remote switch in question?
I'm afraid the remote switch is still missing, Your Honor.
I must say, I'm disappointed, Mr. Payne. Not angry, but disappointed.
I apologize, Your Honor. Aha! Looks like the prosecution is just as unprepared as I am. There is a separate matter, however, that I would like to bring up during this trial.
A separate matter, you say? And what might that be?
I assume you are aware of another incident occurring during yesterday's trial? And speaking, of course, of the assault on Mr. Justice in the ruins of courtroom 4.
Uh-oh.
Why is he bringing that up?
Yes, what a truly harrowing experience it must have been. Poor Mr. Justice.
At the time of the attack, Mr. Justice was not alone. He was with the defendant, Miss Juniper Woods.
He isn't going where I think he's going with this, is he?
The prosecution wishes to indict Miss Woods on the charge of Mr. Justice assault.
Order! Order in the court! Mr. Payne, the incident under deliberation here is the court's bombing. Courtroom bombing. The assault on Mr. Justice has nothing to do with this trial.
But I believe there is a connection between this and Mr. Justice's assault. Please, take a moment to consider these facts. Both events occurred in courtroom 4. This is the location in the courtroom 4 where the unconscious Mr. Justice was discovered. As you can see, it's quite close to where Detective Arm's body was found. The question is, why did the culprit feel the need to maliciously attack Mr. Justice?
Why indeed? What do you believe their motive to be, Mr. Payne?
I believe Mr. Justice found something in that courtroom while Miss Woods was with him. Evidence that fingered her as the perpetrator of the bombing.
You mean he found something incriminating evidence?
Precisely. And so I surmise that the defendant picked up a piece of rubble and hit Mr. Justice in the back of the head in order to silence him.
Objection!
Junie would never do such a thing. She was devastated when we found Apollo hurt like that.
Miss Sykes, please control your outbursts.
Ahem. It is the prosecution's belief that by deliberating on Mr. Justice's assault, we will draw ever closer to the truth of the courtroom bombing itself.
Very well. Miss Woods, I hereby officially indicted on the charge of assaulting Mr. Justice.
What? Why are you listening to Mr. Toupee over there? Although, considering our conversation yesterday, I think Apollo might have figured something out. Wonder what that was. He told me, I'm going to look for evidence to clear your name, Juniper. Maybe the two incidents really are related after all. I would like to start by hearing from the defendant herself.
Very well. Bailiff, please bring Miss Woods to the witness stand.
I'm sorry. I can't seem to stop. Miss Woods? Guess she's still really upset about Apollo. Miss Woods, you went to the ruins of courtroom 4 with Mr. Justice, did you not? Yes, I did. Good, good. If you would then please testify about what happened to the court. Alone with Apollo. During the trial yesterday, I was overcome by a fit of coughing. Apollo stayed with me and went to the courtroom ruins together. But then I was called back to this courtroom to give testimony. Apollo insisted on staying behind in courtroom 4. I swear I didn't attack Apollo. Why would I ever hurt such a kind person?
So, Mr. Justice stayed by your side while you were feeling unwell. What an admirable young man. I thought his loud voice was his only outstanding feature.
He may look like a little imp at times, but Apollo can really be nice, too. I hope she didn't hurt her wrist. His backhanding that one out.
But one has to wonder, why did Mr. Justice stay behind in the ruins?
I think Apollo might have figured something out.
Something? What kind of something?
Something to do with the courtroom bombing kind of thing, I think.
Oh, new evidence for the case, was it? That's a very big kind of something indeed.
I believe so. He mentioned looking for some evidence when I was called away.
Objection!
Just as I thought. There is a connection between the two incidents. But the defendant was told a very big lie, Your Honor.
What lie is that?
When she learned Mr. Justice would be looking for evidence, she attacked him. She attacked him to give herself a chance to destroy that evidence. No, I never. Ms. Woods repaid Mr. Judge's kindness with violence. We found proof of her foul deed there in this very court ruins.
What on earth?
Do you see it? There, in front of Mr. Justice's right hand? Witness the message he left us.
It's written in blood. W-O-O-D-S. Why, isn't that...
Yes, that's right, Your Honor. It says Woods in capital letters. What? I submit that Mr. Justice left us with the name of his attacker before he fainted. No, that can't be true. Why would Apollo write my name? Mr. Wright, the nerve of him leaving that message. Why would he do this? Hey, don't take it out on me. I don't understand it any more than you do. When we discovered Apollo yesterday... Apollo! No. We didn't even have a chance to rush over to him. As soon as security heard Athena's scream, they ran in and condoned off the area. After that, they were in the courtroom number 4 with Apollo the whole time. We couldn't investigate anything ourselves and had to leave everything to the police. Still, I never thought they would find some bloody writing right there.
Now then, please begin your cross-examination, Mr. Wright.
During the trial yesterday, I was overcome by a fit of coughing.
Hold it!
Do you always cough when you get nervous, Miss Woods? Yes.
Mr. Wright, please do not make Miss Woods nervous by pressing her on so ruthlessly.
But that barely even qualified as quasi-question. Let's help her relax a little. Oh, with a little small talk before we dive into cross-examination. You know, ask her about her hobbies and her crushes and stuff. Her crushes? Really? I don't know about this. Apollo, who stayed with me, and we went to the courtroom ruins together.
Hold it!
Why exactly did you go to the courtroom ruins? We went to look for my medicine to stop my coughing. Your medicine? Why would your medicine be in courtroom 4? I dropped it in the heat of the moment. Comrade Wright, he was keeping my medicine safe for me. He had a little compartment that I can put things in, you see. And Phony Fanny has the same type of pocket. That's where the bomb was inserted. I had put my medicines in for my coughing fits inside Comrade Wright. When I told Apollo about it, he said he'd help me go look for him. There was so much rubble there. I was worried, but there was no rubble or anything in front of the witness stand. So when we got inside, Apollo went straight there and started looking for my Rhiney in that area. It was so nice of him to do that for me, in spite of all of his injuries. Apollo is so strong and kind, just like the trees in the forest. The way she makes him sound, you'd think Apollo was some kind of ancient god. Oh, wait.
So that's why you went to the ruins, I see. That seems to be quite an important fact. Please add it to your testimony, Miss Woods.
Apollo started looking for Comrade Wright near the witness stand, where there was no rubble.
Objection!
So he started... Oh, darn it, I accidentally pressed the button there. That's right. I guess maybe he wanted to start from the furthest point in the room. He was being so brave and strong. But that's odd. Under these circumstances, he couldn't have been capable of that. But he was, and he still is. He may not look it, but he really is brave and kind, too. No, that's not the part I'm finding fault with. Someone has a crush on Apollo. What you are claiming is something that no one should be able to do.
But I should think that anyone can be brave and kind if they wanted to be, Mr. Wright.
True, anyone can be brave and kind. If you would please take a look at this diagram. With the courtroom in this state, how was it possible to walk to the witness stand? Oh.
I see your point. The rubble blocks off access to the area of the witness stand.
Does such a tiny inconsistency even matter? Perhaps the witness is simply misremembering it. Great, now I'm not so sure it matters. A real man doesn't make mountains out of molehills, you know.
Well, that's precisely what Mr. Wright does best.
I call slander, Your Honor!
So, was it really impossible to approach the witness stand? I have to say, it's a bit hard to tell with any accuracy from this diagram. Mr. Payne, do you have any other photos of the crime scene?
Let me see, Your Honor. Ah, yes. I have one more. Here it is. It's a more pulled-back version of the photo I presented before. I see a problem with this photo. Huh? What's that hunk of metal on wheels? Mr. Payne, is that metallic object in that photograph Mr. Tonate's bomb transport case? That's right. Is there a problem?
Ah, yes. That transport case was there in the courtroom number 4 when the bomb went off. It must have been there ever since.
Oh, that's it. Miss Woods, have you remembered something? Yes, I just remembered. Its position. It's different from before. Its position? The position of what? The position of that big metal thing. The bomb transport case? Yes. When Apollo and I went there, it was in a different place. Where the case in the photo was open space, so it was easy to search the stand. I see. So, where was that transport case just when you and Mr. Wright, Justice, saw it? As I recall, I think it was more to the right. To the right? Then that means... In that case, the case was over at the time of Apollo... was over there at the time of Apollo's attack. Who cares where the transport case was when? And what difference does it make? It has nothing to do with what the...
Objection!
Where the transport case was has everything to do with this discussion. In fact, it's so important that it's enough to turn the prosecution's argument on its ear. What?
Well, that certainly sounds very relevant indeed. So you sound as though you know where the case was at the time of the attack.
Yes, Your Honor. This diagram represents the crime scene as shown in the photo. And this is where the transport case was at the time of the assault on Mr. Justice. Right here, I have this. Alright, I have this. The bomb transport case was right here at the time of Apollo's attack.
Take that!
Your Honor, I assert that I assert that it is where the transport case was at the time of the assault.
But that's...
Inconceivable!
Miss Woods, was this where the transport case was when you saw it?
Yes, that's where it was.
Thank you, Miss Woods. I'm sure the court has noted an interesting fact about its position.
The transport case covers up the writing in blood.
Exactly. If the transport case was in fact in that position at the time of the assault, then no message could have been written there because the case was in the way. Which leads to us to conclude that Mr. Justice could not have left a bloody writing.
Objection!
Why should we believe the defense's claim that the case was in a different position? She's obviously lying.
Objection!
The fact that the case was moved after the assault on Mr. Justice is proof by more than just Miss Wood's testimony alone.
What? And where is this proof you're talking about?
It's right here in this crimes photo.
I'm keen to see this proof myself, Mr. Wright. What in this photo indicates that the transport case was moved after the assault?
Well, isn't it obvious?
Take that!
Please take a look at the mark that runs over Mr. Justice's bandage there.
I see it, but what is it?
This mark was made by one of the casters from the transport case carrying the bomb. And the case was moved, it ran over his bandage. In other words, the transport case was originally to the right of Mr. Justice. Then, after Mr. Justice was assaulted, the transport case was moved.
What?
Just as Miss Woods said, the case was covering the writing at the time of the assault. Therefore, it was impossible for Mr. Justice to have left a message in blood.
No!
You did it, boss. It was a real nail-biter, but you pulled it off. Yup. That should bring down the prosecution's claim like a house of cards.
Order in the court. Mr. Wright, that was a very clever deduction.
It was nothing, Your Honor. Nothing but pure genius. Take that! Boss, I'm sensing a definite smug and braggy vibe coming from you.
I have just one question, Mr. Wright.
Yes, Your Honor?
If Mr. Justice didn't leave this message in blood, then who did?
Huh? What?
Oh.
Well... Looks like I should have taken that train of thought through to the last station.
Well, I've heard a lot about this. So this is Mr. Wright's famous bluffing technique, is it?
Ah, this feeling. It brings back memories of the old days in the years of 2019. Back when you carved out a name for yourself by bluffing your way through thick and thin.
Gee, Mr. Wright, the judge kind of makes you sound like no better than a 2-bit con man.
You made your argument with such confidence, Mr. Wright. Now I'd like to hear your answer with just as much confidence.
Hey, until the judge asked the question, I didn't catch on. You didn't catch on either, Buster.
What now, boss? I hope you didn't bluff your way into a corner.
Think, Phoenix, think. There must be a way through this. I have to dig my way out to truth somehow. Who could have written that message in blood? The culprit? Apollo? Someone else. If it wasn't Apollo, who could have left the bloody message? Let's see.
Take that!
To be honest, I don't actually have a real proof of this. But I've come this far. There's no turning back now. Besides Apollo, there was one more person who shed blood at this crime scene.
A person who shed blood? You don't mean...
Oh, but I do. I believe it was Cadence Arm who left behind this message in blood.
What?
What? Detective Arm?
Are you sure you know what you're doing here? Not really.
Objection!
What kind of ridiculous assertion is that? If you had said the attacker left the message to throw people off, it might have made sense.
At first glance, that would seem to be the most reasonable explanation. However, Apollo didn't shed enough blood to write such an extensive message.
Uh-oh.
Ah, I see. Even the photo makes it clear there wasn't enough blood to write all those letters. If Mr. Justice did survive, I suppose he didn't bleed very extensively in that case.
But why would Detective Arm write the defendant's name? There's no connection between the two whatsoever.
And I didn't even know the lady who was killed.
I admit the investigation didn't turn up any connection between the victim and the defendant. They had never even met each other.
That's very true. Well then, let's see. Then maybe the intended meaning of the message was not what it appears to be.
The intended meaning?
Not what it appears to be? Maybe the message was not intended to be Woods.
Coming from you, that's quite the bold statement, Mr. Wright. You wish to assert that this bloody writing could have been some other meaning?
Yes, Your Honor. For something I pulled out of the wormhole, well, it could turn out to be true, right?
Objection!
It clearly says woods, as anyone can plainly see. And what other meaning could it possibly have?
Objection!
But Caden's arm was a detective. Maybe woods only means something to the police. Like a police scanner code, for example?
I didn't think of that.
You may have tricked his honor, but you'll never get the best of me. I have a thing for studying on the weekends, as you may have already guessed. And there is no such radio code as woods in this state, dear Mr. Wright.
Is that a fact? Don't look at me. I know as much as you do about police codes.
Enough of this. I was quite taken with the defense's new theory. But I can't say. But if they can't sustain it with anything, then I might end things here.
No, please wait, Your Honor.
Very well. Before we discuss this theory any further, I demand a plausible explanation. So, Mr. Wright, what is the true meaning of the bloody writing?
Well, I believe it's...
And no stalling! If you can't come up with an answer quickly, I will declare this decision officially over.
I'm in trouble now. What other meaning could it have besides an obvious one? Maybe it means something in another language? Or maybe it's a code. Think, Phoenix. You can do this.
Which piece of evidence will tell us what the word woods really means?
Take that!
The bomb transport case? I've about added up to here with your shenanigans, Mr. Wright.
Take a look at the numbers on this case, Your Honor. L1001B5R. Does this string look vaguely familiar?
L011. What does that have to do with anything?
What could those numbers possibly have to do with the case at hand?
Now, please take a look at the bloody writing in the crime photo.
Oh, I think I see it.
That a girl. That's one on my side.
It says woods.
Oh, you could say it's a horse of a different color, Your Honor. The first character isn't a W, it's actually an L and a 1. The next two are zeros.
Oh, my goodness!
The true meaning behind these bloody writings isn't Miss Wood's name. It's the number engraved on this bond transport case.
Objection!
What are you talking about? Well, the next part doesn't make any sense. The next number is a 1, but the bloody writing says D.
Objection!
But the number on the case and the bloody writing can be made to match up quite easily. This is how the number on the transport case and the can be made to match the bloody writing. You just gotta erase 2 lines. Please erase the her downward stroke of the letter W and the curved part of the D.
Well, would you look at that? Louis?
No, Your Honor. Her isn't meant to be read as a word. It's the number L10015. Which, if you take away the final R, it's the exact same number as the one in the bomb transport case.
Objection!
Erase 2 lines and they match up, you say? Well, I can change anything into anything else simply by erasing 2 lines. What if we erase 2 lines from your name? Would you be happy if we called you Mr. Wright?
Well, would you, Mr. Wright?
The only right spelling is right. Okay, I'm doing pretty well here, and I think I've drawn the right conclusion. Detective Arm's real message hitched to us is the bomb transport case number. Your Honor, the 2 lines were added by the real culprit to intentionally mislead people.
What?
The original message Detective Arm left behind was the transport case number. But whoever assailed Apollo will change the message. If you're right, boss, then what would you suppose Detective Arm was trying to tell us? Good question. What does this number represent? Do you see this number there? That is my identification number. Candace Arm lost her life in the courtroom bombing. Her dying message could have had one purpose.
No!
Tell us, the name of the one responsible for the bombing.
Well, don't keep us in suspense, Mr. Wright. Just tell us who she was trying to name.
The culprit the victim was trying to name, identify is none other than...
Take that!
The defense wishes to indict Mr. Ted Toney on the charge of courtroom bombing.
Ted Toney?
Apparently, disabling bombs isn't Mr. Toney's only specialty. Somehow the victim must have realized that he was the bomber. So when she was caught up in the blast, she left his bomb transport case number as her dying message. She used Mr. Toney's own ID number to figure him to the crime.
Objection!
Why would anyone go out of their way to write an identification number? Wouldn't they simply write the person's name?
He's got a point there.
What would you do? What do you have to say to that, Mr. Wright?
that only Detective Arm would know the answer to that, but allow me to offer a theory. Perhaps Detective Arm couldn't recall Mr. Tonate's name in the heat of the moment. As I recall, it was the first meeting between the two. It's entirely possible they wouldn't have been familiar with each other. Or maybe using the ID number was a way to hide its true meaning from the real culprit, thus lowering the odds that they would erase the bloody writing. But no matter what the reason, the important thing is meaning behind her message. The fact remains she wrote Mr. Tonate's ID number.
Objection!
Now, just one moment there. There hasn't been any proof yet that it was indeed Detective Arms who wrote it. The bloody writing wasn't found during the first investigation after that blast. If Detective Arm had left that message, it should have been found at the time.
Objection!
Naturally, Mr. Tomine hid it before anyone could discover it. And there's a simple explanation for how he was able to do so.
What?
Mr. Tonate was able to cover the message up because he's the first to find the body, duh. The first person to discover the bloody writing was Mr. Tonate himself. I was the first person on the scene after the explosion. I went there to ensure safety, but I ended up discovering a dead body. When Mr. Tonate he saw that the victim had written his ID number, he used the bomb transport case to cover up the bloody writing as a stopgap measure. Scapegoat measure. Oh, so that's why the message in blood was under the transport case. He didn't have enough time to try to scrub away the writing. If he didn't report the body right away, he would look suspicious. So those letters lived on to serve another function. When Mr. Tonate he used them in another incident.
Oh, the assault on Mr. Justice!
Exactly. Mr. Tonate he hit upon a plan to use the bloody writing on his own purpose. So he didn't clean it away. Instead, he made it look like Mr. Wright wrote it, Justice wrote it, by adding 2 lines to the writing that Detective Arm left behind. He changed the meaning of the message. He made it look like Mr. Justice was accusing Miss Woods of the attack. So that means the only person who could have altered the bloody writing was the courtroom bomber, who was the same person that assaulted Mr. Justice. And that person is Ted Tonate.
Gah!
Order in the court! Order, I say! It looks like we will have to hear from the bomb specialist himself. Mr. Payne, please have Mr. Tonate take the witness stand.
Yes, Your Honor.
That was great, Mr. Wright. Just doing what I do best, which is flying from the seat of my pants. Dismantling the case is yours. Do you think you can handle it? I look forward to seeing you try. I've finally drawn Mr. Tone back to the witness stand. Looks like you'll get your wish, Goggle Man. Now watch me take your lies apart.
Mr. Tone, I'm afraid we have a few more questions for you.
I understand the situation, Your Honor. I was keeping a close eye on the proceedings from the gallery. The allegations are all laughable.
Objection!
I wouldn't be laughing if I were you, Mr. Tone. The message in blood matches your ID number. The same ID number that is there on that transport bomb case. Such a far-fetched theory. No better than a tangled ball of wires. I'll have them untangled. I'll have them untangled for you in no time at all. You were the first person on the scene after Detective Arm left her message in blood. You were the only one who could have hidden the writing and then used it again later. I see X2, but then let me ask you. Do you have any proof that Detective Arm wrote that message?
That's a very good question. Well, Mr. Wright?
The best way to prove that Detective Arm wrote that message is to analyze the DNA. Your Honor, I request that a DNA test be performed on the blood itself. Once we know whose blood it is, it will be obvious to know who wrote the message.
Very well. Bailiff, put out a request for a DNA test on the forensics team.
Yes, Your Honor.
It will be some time before we have the results of the analysis. Until then, let's hear more from the witness.
I would like nothing more, Your Honor. I went to the courtroom to hear how ridiculous the defense... I want the courtroom to hear how ridiculous the defense's theory is. After the explosion. I admit I was the first on the scene after the explosion. But there was no bloody writing there at the time. Anyway, there is no way Detective Arm could have written it. She was struck on the head. She had struck her head on rubble and died near the courtroom entrance. She was too far away from there, where the bloody message was found. So you're saying that the victim's body was nowhere near the writing was? Precisely. It is as plain as day as that she could not have written it.
It's true that the body was discovered near the entrance of the courtroom. Please have a look at the crime scene photo. As you can see, there is blood on the rubble near the victim's body. She must have died after hitting her head there.
I see. Alright then, Mr. Justice, your cross-examination, please.
Do you have what it takes to take my ear fallible? I admit I was the first on the scene after the explosion.
Hold it!
Why were you the first person on the scene? To secure the area. It is regulation for a bomb disposal specialist to enter first. In other words, you had the opportunity to alter the bloody writing when didn't you? Well,
Objection!
Mr. Wright, please don't interrupt. Mr. Tone is about to give testimony that will show how wrong your reasoning is.
darn. I think he was just about to say something interesting too. When I went and saw the aftermath, well, it was quite the disaster. But there was no bloody writing there at the time.
Hold it!
You were able to tell this even with those goggles on? With these goggles, there is no way I could have missed something like that. I can see quite well with them. In fact, I can see every hair on your spiky head. Oh, you have a few grays, Mr. Wright. What? Poor Mr. Wright. You're always working so hard, keeping our office together. Wait a minute! I don't have any gray hairs! Just kidding.
Objection!
I object to the witness's attempt to prematurely give me gray hair.
Mr. Tonet, this court frowns on your untold comments on the present person's hair, or lack thereof.
I'm sensing a great sorrow coming from the judge. My apologies, Your Honor. May I please continue with the testimony? Anyway, there is no way Detective Arm could have written it.
Hold it!
If she didn't write it, then who do you propose did? Mr. Justice, of course. Just before dying, he wrote the name of his attacker, Juniper Woods.
A final message for your poor subordinate.
Poor Mr. Justice. I'm starting to get all misty-eyed.
Apollo is not dead, folks. So how can you be so sure it wasn't Detective Arm who wrote the message? It is very simple. She had struck her head on the rubble and died near the courtroom entrance.
Objection!
You're a terrible liar, Mr. Tone. Take a look at this autopsy report, specifically the part about Detective Arm's head injury. Cause of death, trauma to the back of the head caused by an impact with a flat object. Yes, what about it? Now take a good look at the pointy piece of rubble. It's sharp and pointed. Hey, you're right, boss. It is pointy.
Just like your hair.
That is odd, isn't it? What could be the meaning of this contradiction?
I believe it means the victim did not hit her head on this piece of rubble. The blood stain you see is just another fabrication. Its purpose is to mislead us into thinking the victim died near the courtroom entrance.
Are you claiming the culprit moved the victim's body?
That's exactly what I'm claiming. The victim hit her head at some other location. Most likely on the floor or some other flat surface. And this location was somewhere near where the bloody writing was found. In that case, she definitely could have written the message.
Your Honor! We have the results of the bloodstain analysis. Ah, very good timing. Let me take a look. According to this report, the message was written by Detective Arm's blood. And as the defense claims, only the parts of the message that were added afterwards were written in Mr. Justice's blood. It would appear that the defense's assertion is correct after all.
Yes, you did it. You were right, boss. Now I have to drive it home. I'll have to take a good look at that bloody writing analysis later.
Mr. Tony, is it now apparent that you have told several lies to this court? I hope you have some sort of explanation for yourself.
Fine, I will confess. You will? But then, why are you so calm? This time, I will tell the truth. The truth. It is true that Detective Arm wrote my ID number. She very plainly wrote L10015R. I was shocked. But I did not detonate the bomb. Detective R must have mistaken me for the real bomber. Not wanting to be confused, I moved the body and covered the writing. My bad.
I see. So it is your assertion that you merely moved the body. Is that it?
That is correct. I did not kill Detective Arm.
Oh, well, if that's all you did, then... Wait a minute! That in and itself is a criminal act!
Glad to see you finally crossed the finish line, Your Honor.
Very well, then. Your cross-examination, please, Mr. Wright.
It is true that Detective Arm wrote my ID number.
Hold it!
So you admit that you actually did see the bloody writing that Detective Arm left? My bad. I should have said so from the outset. And you're sure it was your ID number? I am sure. It was definitely my ID number. That number was assigned exclusively to me by the police department. The number is assigned to my goggles as well. So those funky things were provided by the police department. Although, these are special goggles customized by me personally.
Speaking of personalized, these sunglasses of mine were custom made as well. They were specially created to be particularly dark and shady.
Speaking of special, my gavel is made of mahogany and was custom made as well. It was specially created to make a particularly loud and resounding sound.
Wish I had something to brag about. Be all that as it may, I just want to reconfirm you saw the bloody writing clearly. And that it was your ID number? That is correct. My ID number was written in blood on the floor. She very plainly wrote L100154 at 59. I was shocked.
Objection!
I just want to make doubly sure that L10015R is really what you saw written in blood. Yes, it is. It very clearly said L10015R. But that's odd, because that's not what I see.
Objection!
What on earth are you blabbing about now?
Wasn't it you who claimed that the bloody writing was his identification number in the first place? Take a good look at the photo in the bloody writing analysis. Now tell me, does it really say L1001RS? Oh. Eep. Something is missing, isn't it? And that something is the final R.
What is the meaning of this, Mr. Tony?
Oh, right. Now I remember. There was no R in the end. It was just it just slipped off the finger. My bad. It was just a slip of the finger. My bad. Come back, my beautiful contradiction! Mr. Wright, I'm not so sure it was just a simple slip of the finger. You have something for me, Athena? I sense that he's extremely agitated, almost panicked. He does look pretty flustered.
Well, Mr. Wright, it appears it was something more than a mere mistake.
I don't know. Did he really just make a typo? What about that R? Did Mr. Tonate really see it? He actually saw it. We know it. Maybe Mr. Tonate really did see the R. But there's no R anywhere in the bloody writing. What's going on here? Huh? Now that I take a good look at the photo, I think maybe... That's it! What is it now, Mr. Wright? Are you trying to imitate Apollo and his courts of steel? I got it. So that's what happened. A slip of the finger? Is that really all it was? Because I don't think so. I propose that Mr. Tonate really did see the letter R.
But the photo clearly shows that there is no R.
No, Your Honor. Actually, just the opposite is true. The photo shows that Mr. Tonate actually could have seen the R.
If you're going to make that claim, you better be able to point out what you mean. What part of the photo shows Mr. Tonate could have seen the R?
Take that!
Please look here, right to the right of the 5. Do you see a little bit of red?
Oh, I see it! Just on the edge of where the floor is broken up.
That's the R that Mr. Tonate saw.
Objection!
It's true that the witness wears... Damn it, I did the thing again. But that doesn't mean his eyesight is bad, nor is brain power. What part of that little smudge looks like an R to you?
Objection!
But what Mr. Tonate saw wasn't a little smudge. There was a whole and complete letter R written there. Before the floor was damaged by the explosion.
Oh, well, that explains it, huh?
Care to explain what you mean? Because you just proposed that everything happened in the exact opposite order. Yep, because that's the way it really went down. The timing of the R was written... The timing of when the R was written turns everything about this case around. Now then, if the floor was damaged by the explosion, then that would mean the message was written before the explosion. With the body message running off the edge of the damaged floor like that. We can only conclude that it was written before the explosion.
But that's ridiculous!
If that were true, it overturns your own promise.
That's right, it does. In fact, it turns everything upside down. The victim was not killed by the explosion in the courtroom. She was killed before the explosion ever occurred!
Order! Order in the court!
What kind of preposterous claim is that? Have you forgotten that the victim's body was found at the entrance at the scene of the explosion?
Objection!
True, but consider this scenario. She was hit on the head and killed before the explosion, or even before the trial began. Her body was subsequently placed in the courtroom ruins after the bombing occurred. That way, it could be made to look like she was the victim in the blast.
What?
It sounds like we had better look into what the victim was doing before the trial. Mr. Payne, did anyone see Detective Arm before the trial?
Let's see. According to the police report... there is. one person. One person saw the victim before the trial. And that person was Ted Toney. Wait, what?
No one besides Mr. Toney saw the victim?
That appears to be the case, Your Honor.
I would now ask the court to recall something. Specifically, Mr. Toney's words from yesterday. It was when Detective Arm and I were transporting the bomb.
Oh my!
Mr. Toney, just before the trial, you were with the victim. The two of you were together at the scene of the crime, courtroom number 4. Your Honor, the defense requests a new testimony from Mr. Toney. We wish to hear what he has to say about his whereabouts just before the trial.
Mr. Toney, your testimony, please.
My testimony? There is no need for... He's completely unnerved, Mr. Wright. You must have hit the nail on the head. Because, all I did, it was transport the bomb to the courtroom. I already told you, people, all because...
Gah! Blast this thing! I was the only one. I was only in the courtroom with the victim because of our work. I swear, I was only transporting the bomb there.
Objection!
You and the victim were together at the scene of the crime. In other words, you certainly had the opportunity to commit murder, did you not?
Objection!
Do you always leave yourself so open to attacks, Mr. Wright?
What now, Mr. Payne?
Yes, Mr. Toney may have had an opportunity to kill Detective Arm, but an important piece of your assertion is missing.
What important piece?
The murder weapon. What do you claim was used to kill the victim?
Mr. Payne is a point. Even if Mr. Toney had the chance, without a weapon, he can't accuse him of the crime.
Well, Mr. Toney?
Oh, yes, that's right. I didn't have anything of the sort that could be used as a murder weapon on me. I couldn't possibly have killed Detective Arm. Did he really have nothing he could use as a murder weapon? What is it, Athena? Just looking over the victim's autopsy report. I'm hoping there's something in here that can point us in the right direction. Well, it does say that she died from trauma to the back of the head with a flat object. Yeah, but to inflict that specific kind of injury, all you would need is a flat surface, right? A very heavy, blunt object with a flat surface could definitely be our murder weapon.
Well, Mr. Wright, can you indicate for the court what was used to kill Detective Arm?
I believe I can. Belief being the key word here.
You can?
Then please do so now. What did Mr. Toney What did Mr. Tony add that could have been used for the murder weapon?
Well, what else?
Take that!
Mr. Tony, you said you didn't have anything that could be used as a murder weapon? But in fact, you had the perfect thing.
What? What the devil are you talking about?
You had this.
That's the bomb! I thought you were trying to prove that the victim wasn't killed by the bomb blast.
The bomb blast, no, but I believe Caden's arm was killed by this bomb. Because this is the blunt object that delivered the fatal blow to her head.
Gah!
Please recall the description of the Detective Arm's wound. Trauma to the back of the head caused by impact with a flat object. As assumed, this injury was sustained with her head when her head hit the floor. But a blow from any flat head side of this bomb would produce the exact same wound pattern.
Gah! Gah! Gah!
What's with him?
Then show me some proof! Where's the evidence that I hit the victim with the bomb?
Ah, he's right. I don't have anything decisive.
Did you find any of the victim's blood on the bomb? That would be decisive proof. But too bad. The bomb is blown to bits. It's long gone. Boom! Game over. Yeah!
Mr. Wright, is there really nothing on the bomb in the photo? I don't see any blood or anything. Wait, the timer display is a little broken here. Maybe it broke when it made contact with Detective Arm's head. That's definitely a distinct possibility. But unless we find a fragment with the victim's blood on it, it's not going to count. I guess you're right. By setting off the bomb, Tony managed to obliterate all traces of the murder weapon. What in the world do I do now? At times like this, I've got to change gears and look at things in a different way now. Instead of looking for the things that he wasn't able to hide, I should be looking for a way to expose the things he did hide. Ted Tony murdered Detective Arm before the trial started. Then he placed her body in the courtroom after the bomb went off. Which means there was something he needed to keep the body hidden until then. And I think I have just the thing. Time to present a photo that shows exactly what Mr. Tony had to hide. Let's see.
Take that!
Oops. Jump the gun. Your Honor, please take a look at this. The fact that Mr. Tone hid his marks, it decisive evidence for my case.
I'm not really sure. I'm not sure I really understand what you mean by that, Mr. Wright.
I'm not sure either, Your Honor.
Me neither.
Here's a penalty to inspire you to make more comprehensible assertions in the future.
Well, that was a spectacular belly flop. But I can't back down now. I better reconsider what Mr. Tone you could have hidden. Tone, you murdered Detective Arm before the trial started. Then he placed her body in the courtroom after the bomb went off. Which means there was something he needed to keep hidden until then. And I think I have just the thing. Let's see. Let's see. Is it this one?
Take that!
Bingo. Your Honor! Here's something we've all been overlooking. If the murder took place before the trial, then Mr. Tone would have had to hide the body somewhere during the trial. Hey, you're right. If we can figure out where that hiding place was... Exactly. We might be able to find evidence that we can pin him down with. So, where could Mr. Tone have hidden the body during the trial? Where else?
Take that!
Wait. A box big enough for a body? A box that was in the courtroom the whole time? A box nobody would touch if they thought there was a bomb in it. Mr. Tone! What is it? Do you finally have some decisive evidence to show me? No, you're the one who's going to show it to me. Come again. You heard me. Now show me what's inside that bombed transport case. What? Why? No! There's no need! I've got him now. Just before the trial, you killed the victim with a blunt object. And then you placed her body in the ruins of the courtroom after the bomb went off. Clearly, you were trying to make it look like she died in the explosion. But where was the body hidden during the trial?
Oh, I haven't thought of that.
The answer is right here. Inside a box made of thick alloy plating that can withstand any impact.
No! That's, completely false!
If it's false, then you should have no objections to showing us your transport case. So, let's open it up and take a look inside, shall we?
Hold it.
Let's not. Not if you value your life. What's he up to now? Remain calm and listen carefully. This bomb will detonate in 5 minutes.
What?
Huh? I repeat, this HH-3000 will detonate in 5 minutes. What's going on? Your Honor, I recommend you adjourn this trial. before this bomb goes off.
Mr. Tony, are you threatening me?
I am the only one who can disable this bomb. If you do not want to die, your only option is to listen to me.
But Mr. Tony, didn't you say that's just a training model? A fake to practice on?
I did, but I also lied. This is the real deal. This is the HH-3000.
But the HH-3000 used to blow up the courtroom number 4, wasn't it?
How do you know it was the real HH-3000 that blew out courtroom number 4? Huh? The bomb that blew up the courtroom was a different one. One that I made.
What? Then, are we to take that as a confession on your part?
Take it any way you'd like. Just before the trial, I took the HH-3000 out of the stuffed animal and put it on my own bomb and put my own bomb into it. That was the bomb that exploded and destroyed courtroom number 4.
Mr. Tony, please, be reasonable! Do you really expect us to believe a crazy story like that?
The HH-3000 is so unique, I had never seen anything like it. It is so unique that I could not replicate the detonation sequence. So, I just had to have it. Besides, did anyone look inside the stuffed animal during the trial? Did anyone check to see if it really was the HH-3000 in there?
I must confess, no one opened the stuffed animal to check.
So, there really is the possibility that bomb was switched out?
No, not a possibility. A certainty. I did it.
So he's had a real bomb with him this whole time?
You had better get out of here while you can. You do not have much time.
Order in the court! I'm out of here! It's gonna blow! Run!
You 4 are still here. Well, well, aren't you brave?
It just wouldn't do for the judge presiding over this case to run. But that horrible explosion the other day. The judge looks like he's about to book it for the nearest exit any second. And Mr. Payne...
That is...
And he's off. Mr. Wright, what do we do? It'd be pretty pathetic to run now, wouldn't it? But the bomb might really go off. Only 3 more minutes, folks. Is that bomb really the HH-3000? What should I do? Stand my ground. I can't run now. Well, it's been fun, but I will be going now. With my dear, dear HH-3000, naturally. Oh, and by the way, I would advise against having me followed. Even with no remote switch, this bomb can still be triggered manually. If I think I'm being followed, I will detonate it on the spot. Farewell.
Hold it!
You're not going anywhere, Ted Tonate.
Oh?
Your Honor, there's no reason to be afraid. That bomb is a fake. Are you sure, Mr. Wright?
More of your famous bluffing. Even at the risk of your own life.
Mr. Wright, none of your bluffing now. Now, not at a time like this. Lives are on the line here.
I'm not bluffing, and I have proof.
You do?
Yes, of course, Your Honor. It's right here in the photo of the bomb, clear as day. Proof that Mr. Tonate's bomb is not the real HH-3000.
Really? Out with it then, immediately! Where is the proof that Mr. Tonate's holding is not the real HH-3000?
Take that!
The display for the timer on the bomb in the photo is broken. Most likely, it broke when Mr. Tonate used the bomb to attack Detective Arm. But the display on the bomb in front of us is not broken.
Oh, you're right.
Therefore, this is not the real HH-3000. Mr. Tonate was clearly lying when he said he switched out the bombs in the stuffed animal. The real HH-3000 blew up in courtroom 4. This bomb is nothing more than a fake, a model used for training purposes. Yeah! Fear not, Your Honor. I will examine the inside of the bomb transport case myself.
Yes, please do that, Mr. Wright.
No! Stop!
Well, hello there.
What is that? Is that a blood stain?
Just as I expected. Your lies have been blown to bits, Mr. Tonate. I'm confident in DNA analysis on this blood stain will confirm that it's Detective Arm's blood. And that those results will conclusively prove that you murdered Detective Arm. How about it, Mr. Tonate? You think you can dismantle this decisive evidence? Breakdown time! Dismantle it?
You're too late! You missed your chance to run, so now you're out of time! This is HH-3000, and this HH-3000 is about to explode!
Don't try to threaten us, Mr. Tonate. I've already proved that your bomb is a fake.
It's real! This bomb is the real thing, I tell you!
It's real. Mad Bomber, party of one.
There's no time left. It's going to blow. I have to disarm it. I have to take it apart. I can dismantle anything. I can take apart evidence. I can take apart bombs. I can dismantle it all. Dismantle, 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 dismantle. I'm not gonna make it. Only one thing left to do. Stop! made it.
Ow. Game over. This mental attempt failed. It's all over. My life has been blown to pieces. It's all that stupid woman's fault. I was selling the bomb I disarmed on the black market. When I tried to take this one, she just had to notice, didn't she? She confronted me in courtroom 4 that day. That's why I had no choice. Before I knew what I was doing, I hit her. It's all her fault. While I was looking for a place to hide her body, she left a message in her own blood. The trial was about to start, so I didn't have time to clean it up. And now, all this. I thought for sure I could disguise her death with an explosion. Then that stupid defense attorney started sticking his nose into my business. After my testimony yesterday, I went to courtroom 4 and found that kid all up in my bomb transporter case. That's when I snuck up behind him and BAM! And when the idiot police arrested that little girl, I thought for sure I could pin it all on her. Why? Oh, why?
Ted Tony, you are hereby under arrest on suspicion of the courtroom bombing and the assault on Mr. Justice. Your innocence or guilt will be determined at a later trial. Now then, I see that members of the public have returned to the gallery. One person, however, seems to still be running far, far away. Be that as it may, I will now announce Miss Juniper Wood's verdict. Not guilty! Court is adjourned.
You did it, boss! Yeah, I guess we managed to pull it off somehow. So many mysteries cleared up all at once. It was so amazing. It just sort of worked out that way, didn't it? That's not the kind of thing that usually just works out. You made it happen. And the way that mean old prosecutor hightailed it out of here, that was great. Mr. Wright, Thena, thank you for everything you did for me. I'm so happy for you, Junie. Now you can go back home to the forest in peace. I hope both of you will come and visit me there sometime. That would be nice. Thank you for the invitation. I don't know, Mr. Wright. I'm not sure you could make it all the way up to Junie's house. How high up do you live again, Junie? Around 3,000 feet, I think?
What?
That's no forest, that's a mountain! But you know, boss, there's something that still bothers me about the case. One little mystery we never got around to solving. Oh, that? Yeah, I was wondering about that too. Is this the unsolved mystery you were thinking about?
Take that!
The remote switch, right? Yeah, I wonder where it disappeared to. Maybe Mr. Tona just got rid of it somewhere. Yeah, it's a pretty big thing to leave unsolved, though. Well, let's leave it up to the police to find. For now, we should be celebrating our not guilty verdict. I guess you're right. Hey, I know. Junie, shall we go report the good news? You know, to that certain someone? Okay. Huh? Your grandmother? No, silly, to Apollo! All right. Well, why don't we all go to the hospital together to see him? Great idea. I bet he's bored out of his mind. Okay. And so the courtroom bombing case came to a close. But the next trial was just over the horizon. There's never a dull moment with so many lawyers in the office, that's for sure. Apollo Justice, Athena Sykes, and me, Phoenix Wright. Between the three of us, there's no case we can't solve. With our powers combined, we're an unstoppable team. At least, that's what I believed. But all of that changed with what Apollo said to us that day. It was something that would put my faith in us to the ultimate test.
Sorry, but I'll be taking a leave of absence.
Wait, what do you mean by a leave?
Can you at least give me a reason why?
I can only say that this is something I must settle on my own.
Oh, why, Apollo? Why are you shutting us out?
What happened to you, Apollo? Ever since you put that jacket on, you've changed. And now, for whatever reason, all my mind keeps doing is returning to the day I first met you. We had tackled our first case together, he and I, this past spring. And as we did, I came to know how he... Yeah, the dialogue's going fast despite the case thing is slowly coming in. And thus concludes the first case. Whoa, whoa, whoa,
Long, long ago, the nine-tailed fox defeated the evil Tenmataro and sealed the fallen demon away. To this day, it is said that he slumbers even still within the forbidden chamber.
I hope you enjoyed that little preview for the next case in, Let's Replay Phoenix Wright, Dual Destinies. That will be the second case that we will be tackling in chronological order. So, thank you all for joining me until the end of this episode. If you enjoyed this and would love to see more, hit that like and subscribe button, leave a comment if you want, ring that bell to be notified when our next video comes out. We do new videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and occasionally Saturday and Sundays. Till the next video, this is Saur Darkchylde, signing off. Have a good night, folks.